I just wanted to give you more of a tutorial style video, kind of showcasing where Pigpen's at towards the end of our board and train. This is Sunday morning, so we still have until Monday night that we're going to get some extra training in, but he's in a really good place with a lot of his obedience cues for 1 week board and train. He's exactly where I think he should be for his age. So I'm just going to highlight some of the things that we've worked on, and then I'll break them down individually so that you can practice this at home and you can practice it with your other dogs. So we'll just start off with the crate. So crate, touch, good, crate, yes, free, touch, good, crate, yes, free, touch, touch, yes, touch, yes, good, place, down, yes, stay, touch, yes, free, touch, good, sit, yes, down, yes, place, yes, here, whee, good job, place, leave it, yes, leave it, yes, leave it, woo, good job, good job. Drop, drop, yes, drop, yes, good, good job. Feet, walk, 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 good, very nice. Okay, so that's just highlighting a lot of the behaviors that we worked on. Let's talk about some of the ones that you weren't able to see. So let's talk about housebreaking. His housebreaking has been inconsistent because I think he has a UTI or a bladder infection. And the reason why I say that is because he'll go outside, he'll go to the bathroom, he'll have a large volume, and he'll come back inside and then go to the bathroom 5 minutes later. And that's with monitoring water intake. It's something that we should check on just to make sure that he doesn't have one. And then while we're figuring this out, it's probably a good idea to keep doing what you've been doing at home with the pen and the outside bathroom area until we can figure this out this week. And then once we get the clear that it's either not a bladder infection or UTI, or it is, then we'll start locking him in the crate for longer periods of time. But in the meantime, taking him out frequently, proactively, will help. And he's been great in the crate at night. He's had 1 or 2 accidents in the crate, and like I said, I think they always happen right after he went to the bathroom outside. So I want to figure out what's going on with that first. But when you're working on sending him into his crate, you're gonna have your crate open, and when you get home, he might, if he doesn't go in willingly, you can toss a treat in. So you go crate, toss a treat in, and then release him to come out. And then eventually we're going to say it and not toss the treat, just wait for the action. Touch. Okay, then. Baby. Okay. So we'll go crate. Yes. And then I'll drop a treat in towards the back of the crate. You want the crate small enough that he can stand up, turn around, and lay back down, but he doesn't have much else room. This crate is a little bit big for him. This isn't the one that he was sleeping in at night. So keep that in mind. You can feed meals in the crate to make it a more positive experience for him, and give him special toys while he's in there. And then practice different periods of time that he's in the crate. So a second with the door closed, 5 minutes with the door closed. Sometimes you're in the room, sometimes you're out of the room, sometimes you're not home, sometimes you are home. And be really unpredictable with it. If he's barking to come out, don't let him out then. Kind of wait until he's quiet for 5 seconds or so. Longer is even better. And then let him back out. Hold on, baby. So the next thing we worked on is sit. So sit, just like how he did here, he's pretty good on a verbal cue. If he doesn't listen to the verbal cue, the hand cue looks like this. And if that doesn't work, you're going to take a treat. You're going to hold it to his nose, and you're going to tip his chin back so his hind end hits the ground. So it looks like this. Yes. Touch. Good. Sit. Yes. And right now I'm rewarding him for every time he does something good. As he's getting more proficient with this, you're going to chain behaviors together for 1 reward. Sit, down, touch, stay, all gets 1 reward. And then kind of ebb and flow with him as he gets older, or if he gets confused by something, bring back the food at a higher rate, or start to taper off when things are easy. So with down, if you're going to follow the same steps. If he doesn't listen to the verbal cue, which he's 50-50 on right now, it's still really new, so he does need a prompt sometimes, you're going to just give that hand cue to the ground. So let's get him up. Touch. Good. Down. So you can see I paused for a minute to see if he would do it on his own. I know that he's inconsistent with it and does need that help. Our goal is that the help is going to go from all the way to the ground to about halfway or a quarter until he's just doing it on the verbal cue. If he doesn't listen to that because he's distracted, you're going to take a treat to his nose. Get up. And you'll just pull his nose to the ground and then release the treat. And that's how we first started. Touch, you can see I've used it quite a few times. It's a good way to move him around without grabbing him. So touch is take your nose and touch my hand, and it's also another form of recall. So touch. Yes. If he doesn't go right away, give him a minute to think about it. If he's confused, don't repeat the word. Instead, take your hand away and bring it closer to where he's going to be successful. And because he does well with touch, I reward him every couple of times for the most part. Pigpen, touch. Yes, good job. So let's talk about place. Place is a spot we can send him to go lay down and stay there. For his age, he's really young, so we can't have a long stay just yet because he has a short attention span. But as he gets older and he starts to mature, we can ask for a longer time. So let's first talk about sending him to the mat. So when you get home, you're going to find like a bed, a towel, a yoga mat, a doormat. You're going to put it in front of you. You're going to put your toes touching the mat, your shoulders, hips, and eyes all gazing towards the mat, because that's going to influence where he goes. I'm going to toss a treat off to get him off the mat to start. Free. And then I'm going to wait for him to wander on. I'm going to say place, and just kind of wait for him to come back. Yes, the moment he gets on the mat, and then you're going to lure him into a down. Eventually, the yes is only going to happen when he offers the down. Because we've only did a 1 week board and train, he's kind of at that stage where sometimes he offers the down, but I still would continue over the next week to lure that down to get that muscle memory. Now we're going to start adding distance. So right now I'm touching the mat with my feet, but I want to start to be able to send him from across the room. So the way that we're going to do that is I'm going to say free. This time I'm going to use a touch cue to get him off. Good boy. And then I'm going to take a step back. So free, touch, good. Place, yes. And then lower him down. And I'm going to do it one step at a time each time. Free, touch, good. Place. Notice I didn't repeat the cue. I gave him a moment to think about it. That's where the most learning happens. If he gets confused, so that's about the distance we've been able to send him successfully. But if we go any further, he's going to get a bit confused. If that's the case, instead of repeating the word, you're going to take a step closer. So I'll demonstrate. Free, touch. So this is too far away. Place. So if he gets confused like that, oh, he's doing good. Yes, good job. You're so smart. You're so smart. That was awesome. I had to go further, huh? Touch. Place. So if he gets confused, you just take one step forward and wait. Yes, and that was enough to send him to his spot without having to repeat the word over and over. If it's a distracting environment, get very close to your mat, tell him place, or even lure him on. What I mean by that is taking a treat, and if he's out here, you can just bring him on, and then get him into his down, and then release the treat. So when you're working on stay, you want to work on the 3Ds, which is distance, distraction, and duration, and you don't want to do all three at once. I kind of am doing a couple right now at the same time. So distance is how far away you can get from him. And then you want to go back and quickly reward him. Stay. Stay. Duration is how long he stays on the mat. And you want to decrease the amount of treats he's getting over time. At first, his duration might be very small, but as you can see, I haven't given him a treat in a while. I don't want to go 10 steps back and wait 10 minutes. That's setting him up for failure, so I'm going to stay close to him, and I want to get the reward in right before he breaks his stay. And then distractions is the hardest for all dogs, but especially puppies. So let's say you're working on distance, you're 10 steps away, and somebody knocks on the door, get close to him, and you're going to treat him at a really high rate of reinforcement to encourage him to stay on the mat. Good. You can also do artificial things like jumping around, yay, and rewarding him for not getting up. Good job. Good job. And then when you're done, end your session with a free. Free means he can get up or he can stay there. I don't really care, but I'm not training him anymore. If you want him to get up, you can use a touch or you can toss food. So touch. Good job. Good job. Nice work. Nice work. Practicing on a placemat for stay is very helpful because it's a clear spot for him to return to. If he makes a mistake, if he gets up, you're going to bring him back to the mat. You're going to get him back into a down, but you're not going to give him a treat. And then go back to an easier step. Let's say he broke the stay at 3 steps, go to 2 steps and set him up for success. And keep it short and sweet. If you feel like you're losing him, end it before he makes the mistake. Also practice in other places other than the mat. This is just a spot, it's a clear visual for him, but it's a good idea to practice, just on the floor, on the carpet, or on a different rug, just so stay in different contexts. So let's talk about recall. We typically overuse the word come. It's wishy-washy, and it's inconsistent. What we want to do is we can still use the word come, it can still be inconsistent, but we want to also add a more consistent word. So we use the word here, and everything we're doing in all the other behaviors, our goal is that we're going to drop down the amount of food that we're giving, but not for our recall. So we're doing two forms, a verbal recall up here and a whistle recall, and those are binding contracts for food. He gets food no matter what when you say those words. If you don't have the food on you, don't say it unless it's a true emergency. You can use touch, you can use come, you can say his name. Those are other ways to get him to come to you. You want to pick extra high value food for this exercise, so I picked some cheese up. You're going to say you're going to say his name, then the word here, once and only once, and then encourage him to come to you with your voice and body language. Pigpen, here! Yay! Good! Once he gets to you, he gets the treat. Don't wave the treat around in front of his face, because then eventually when he's older, he'll only come for the visual of the treat. And if there's a true emergency and he's running after a cat, we want him to kind of look back and go, oh yeah, I know to come back home because I get my favorite treat, which is cheese, and I only get it when I hear that word. If it takes you a half an hour to get him to come back to you, so be it. Don't repeat the word. Just be more exciting than the environment and still reward him no matter what. Here! Yay! Good job! You're going to follow the same steps with the whistle. So you're going to blow the whistle and encourage him to come to you. Good! Very nice. Ideally, when you first go home, you're going to practice only in a quiet environment, maybe in the same room, then expanding it to like one floor of your house, and then as he's getting better, maybe 2 floors of your house, before moving outside where there's a lot more distractions. When you do move outside, don't blow the whistle or call him and then take him in each time, because if he enjoys being outside, you're now poisoning the word. So he's like, I only hear that word when the fun stops or when I have to come home from the dog park. We want him to think that, oh, the whistle blew, I get a treat, and then I get to go back out and play. Maybe that happens 3 or 4 times before you get to go home, but he's not expecting that each time. Good job. Practice this between 1 and 3 times randomly throughout your day when he least expects it to be most effective. Okay, so we also worked on leave it. Leave it means don't go and get that item. It's off limits. We started this with treats, and then you're going to progress to different items that you shouldn't have in the house, like shoes or socks that might be left out. So the way that we started this, is by showing him a leave it treat. If he lunges for it, it goes away. If he doesn't lunge for it, he gets rewarded from the opposite hand, until we're able to place it on the floor, which is where we're at now. Leave it. Yes, good job. Leave it. Yes. Leave it. Yes. And then once I put it on the floor, I have to be quicker than him, because if he lunges for it, I have to get it before he does. Leave it. Yes. Good job. Leave it. Yes. And now that he has a bit of an understanding of what this word means, you can start using it for items he shouldn't have. So let's pretend that this toy is off limits. You can do it the same way. You would show it to him and remove it until you kind of put it on the ground. So leave it. If he lunges, it goes away. Yes. Leave it. Yes. Until I can get it on the ground. Leave it. Yes. Once he has an idea that this is off limits, then you can start baiting your environment. And what I mean by that is you can place it in the room when he's in a different room, send him in, ideally on a leash with a light line dragging behind him. And if he shows interest in this item, you're going to say leave it and reward him if he leaves it alone. If he doesn't, you're going to grab that leash, you're going to pull him away, and you're going to practice from a larger distance until he's more successful. We want it to seem realistic so that he'll think that it's off limits, not just in artificial training scenarios. So with that also is drop it. Drop it is something's in your mouth. I want you to spit it out. The way that we started is with nothing in his mouth, and we broke up little treats. We said the word drop it. We dropped a couple of pieces of the treats on the floor and pointed to it, and this is creating a reflexive response that if he hears the word drop or drop it, he assumes that means food is falling from the sky, he anticipates eating, and he opens his mouth. Eventually you're going to practice with a toy in his mouth, so he spits that out. So when you go home, you can practice this a little bit here and there. You're gonna say, drop, spill some pieces on the floor, and point to it. The reason why we point to it is typically we go and take items away, and here we're just changing the association that I'm just pointing out yummy treats. Drop. And you're gonna practice that 10 times or so per day until he's really, really successful with that. Then you're gonna practice with a toy. So you're gonna give him a toy to play with. You're gonna wait till he grabs hold of it. After he has a little bit of fun, you'll ask him to spit it out. If he doesn't, spill food next to his face, so he goes and eats it, and then we'll try again. Drop, yes. Spill food, take the toy away, and then give it back to him. That way, this whole experience is nothing but fun, and it's non-threatening because he will get that item back. Drop, yes. Give him that, take it away. There you go, you missed your treats. And you'll practice that with his toys. Don't ask him to spit something out that is too high value right now. Work up to that, so something like that could be a stick in the yard or something really valuable and reinforcing that he really likes. Let's see, what else did we do? Recall, crate training, and a little bit of leash walking. So for his age, he should explore the world a bit. As he gets older, he might start pulling a bit more. It's a good idea to have periods of the walk where we're trying to get his attention on us, and periods of his walk where we're giving him slack in the leash to let him kind of explore. The harness that you have is fine. Another brand is a Freedom harness. I believe you have an Easy Walk. That's fine to walk with. The flexi leash you want to be careful with. It's a bit dangerous because it can it can get tied around their legs and kind of cause some injuries. And it's also inconsistent with the tension. I left it in the other room, so I'm just going to put the slip lead on him real quick just for this example. What we're going to do is teach him to walk on one side or the other. You can change it each time. It can be the left side, it can be the right side. You switch it, but he doesn't. What are you doing? He doesn't get to switch it. And you're going to hold some treats in your hand. I'm going to just have him walk on my left side. I'm looking for a dip in the leash, and if he gets too far out ahead, I'm just going to turn around. And when he's walking politely, I'm going to reward him by my leg. This is going to encourage nice, loose leash walking. Okay. If he surges ahead, we just turn around. If he's walking like this and nice and polite, he keeps getting treats. Good. So let's just say I'm going to toss a treat out in front to show you what it would look like if he surges. So if he surges ahead, we just stop. We turn around 3 or 4 steps. Come in. I heard that was cruel. That was mean. And then I'll reward him if he's walking nicely by my leg. Come in. I'm going to give him lots of treats because there's a big chunk of treats on the floor, so I really want to incentivize him to be with me. Good. And you'll just kind of work on this throughout your time with him, and then as he gets older, we're really going to focus on the pulling. But right now, it's just getting him to stay close to our leg and then go out and explore. So he's a lovely puppy. He's very, very smart, very bright. He picks things up very quickly, so I think you're going to have a lot of fun with him. Main thing is, let's figure out what's going on with the housebreaking. If it is a medical situation with a UTI or bladder infection, or if it's just overconsumption of water, so we can figure out a nice schedule for him to set him up for success. We're always here if you have any questions or concerns, and I think that he's going to go very far in life. He's a very good boy, right? He's a good pupper.